In this video, guys, I want to kind of like document and talk you through the process that I go through when I'm creating new sales copy and advertising for my clients. And in this video, specifically, I'm going to be talking about a window ads campaign that I'm creating for a roofing client of mine who also does windows and siding and doors and patio doors and stuff like that. But for this one, I'm going to be talking about windows. So I had a call with my client about this recently, and I took some notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the notes, but in doing so, I'm going to touch on how I came to jot down these notes, what notes I jotted down and why, and how I think about things when I'm determining what would be best to use for marketing. Because there's a lot to learn from what I choose to focus on in terms of the sales copy and how we're going to present things with regard to what actually works to get leads. And there are a lot of principles you can glean from kind of watching me and listening to me go through this process. And I hope that you get some value from it in that respect. So let's jump in right now to the notes that I took, and I'm going to just go through them and talk through it. And maybe some really cool things will come to the forefront in the process. So let's get started. So the first thing I wrote down was high quality, low pressure. And we came to this because I asked my client, I said, you know, the first thing I want you to do is take me through the process of getting replacement windows, getting someone a house full of windows. Like from the time they become a lead, whether they fill out a form or call into your company, to the time that you actually get your crews there to do the work. Like what happens? And in explaining to me what happens, what my client told me was that, you know, he talks to the homeowner and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually he presents what they have to offer. And that is a super high quality window. And that obviously not all windows are the same quality. Some companies make better windows than others. But he also said this, he said low pressure. He said when he's in the home selling to a homeowner, he doesn't spend 4 hours there like a lot of these high pressure salespeople do. Instead, he spends an hour or less, and it's not a one call close necessarily. He doesn't force them to purchase from him. He doesn't take the tactic of, you know, getting the homeowner to kick you out before leaving, which a lot of companies do as a part of their sales. And the reason I wrote this down was because I'm trying to differentiate my client's company from the others. I'm trying to point out some of the painful things that homeowners often experience with other companies, and then make sure that they know that they're not going to experience it with my client's company. And one of those things that I believe homeowners are keenly aware of are the high pressure sales tactics. They don't want someone coming into their house and hard selling them for 4 hours that they're going to have to awkwardly ask to leave because they're not yet ready to buy. And so I wrote that down to remind me that my client offers a high quality product with a low pressure sales strategy. And that's a nice piece of value that I can include when I'm writing the sales copy for my clients' advertising. The next thing I jotted down was Provia, and that's, I think I'm pronouncing that right, but Provia is just the brand of windows that it's the company that makes the windows that my client sells. The reason I jotted that down is because he mentioned it, and I'm going to do some research on my own about what Provia windows offer and why they're good, and I'll get some really cool marketing ideas and sales just from their website. So if you're looking to create good advertising, at the very least, you should go to the website of the company that produces the materials you're using, and maybe see if they've already come up with some cool ways of presenting the materials. That said, I will say that if that's all you do, it's going to not be nearly as sticky as it needs to be in the homeowner's mind, because what I find is that these large companies that produce materials just aren't really good at necessarily creating content that homeowners are interested in. They're better at creating sales and marketing verbiage that the contractors are interested in. So there's usually more that you need to kind of extract from the mind of, from your own mind, if you're a contractor looking to come up with ways to sell to your clients, or if you're a marketing professional like me who's looking to get from their clients the gold that's needed to create amazing sales copy. So I just jotted down that he's doing windows and doors. We're going to be doing campaigns for doors, patio doors, but I'm going to talk about just windows in this video. It's the Endure line. This is just a note for me to kind of do some research about this line of windows. And then we eventually got to this note: house full of windows as low as $150 per month. Now, what I asked him here was, listen, I said, do people finance these projects? And he said, yes, and they're actually financing them more and more now than they ever have been in his experience. And I said, well, what's the lowest realistic monthly payment that someone might be able to make for a house full of windows? And his answer was about $150 per month. Now, I jotted that down because when you are creating advertising on Facebook and Instagram, and really on many different channels, you need a hook. You need something that's going to instantly grab the attention of the homeowner, of the buyer. And whether the person has $10 in their bank account or $10 million in their bank account, they're still interested in price. Okay, it doesn't matter that if they have no money or a lot of money, price is still a thing. And so even though someone ultimately buys on value, if you're selling well, they are initially obsessed with getting a good price. And when I say a good price, I don't mean they want the lowest price. They just want a fair price. But at first, what appears to be a low price gets their attention most efficiently. And then if you write sales copy that is actually good, you can flip them from being obsessed about price to being obsessed about value and hiring a company that they can trust. So I wrote down house full of windows as low as $150 per month, because in at least one of the ad variations, I am going to make at least some version of this sentence right here a headline or something front and center in the ad itself. So it's the first thing people see when they encounter my clients' ads on Facebook and Instagram and other places. So this is huge, okay? And then I wrote not the highest price and not the lowest price. So I asked him point blank. I said, where do you fall in the pricing for things? And his answer, like almost everybody, is I'm not the lowest, but I'm not the highest. And what I do when I know this is I basically write sales copy that teaches the reader that a fair price is neither the lowest nor the highest. Because the lowest price is not a fair price. It's not fair to the contractor. And if it's not fair to the contractor, then you can bet your butt that the contractor is going to make sure that he makes some money, and he's going to do things that you don't really want him to do in order to make that money. And when you tell a homeowner that, that's a real concern at that point. Wow, I didn't know that, listen, if I hire the lowest price guy, he might use junky materials. He might use labor that isn't trained properly, or that he doesn't have insurance or licensing or something. And so it's really not fair to the contractor to be charging that if he can't actually provide a good service. It's not fair to the homeowner to be hiring a contractor who's going to not give them a great service and product. So, and then on the other side of the coin, it's also not a fair price to charge the highest in town, because oftentimes the highest in town is just making up for lots of overhead. Maybe they do a ton of advertising and they're just passing that on to the homeowner. Maybe they simply charge more, and you look at other companies out there that are charging twice as much as your average company, and it's like, what are they actually doing that's better? It's usually nothing. Usually just training their guys to use really high pressure sales tactics, and we can educate the homeowner writing with really good sales copy so that they realize that the fair price is ultimately the price you're going to present to them, because you're not the lowest and you're not the highest. So this is a really important piece of the puzzle when creating really good sales copy, whether it's for Windows or really anything. So then we kind of just went through the steps of how he, sells Windows. There's an appointment, so there's an appointment with measurements that are done. He gives them a needs analysis, so he analyzes the needs of the homeowner, and he gives them the story about his company and the story about Provia, which is the company that produces the actual windows. He mentioned that the windows are built by Mennonites, and then he mentioned something about how people who, in his particular area, who learn that something is created by Mennonites or Amish, or that those groups of people are, regarded as being much better quality, and they just love it. So I wrote that down because that's something that my client believes is a selling point, and so we're going to test it. And then he gives info about the product, so more info about Provia and stuff like that. He prices it out on the spot, so he doesn't leave before giving them a price. So while he's not a high-pressure salesperson in there for 4 hours forcing people to buy from him and making it awkward, asking him to leave, he does give them a price on the spot so that he does ask for the sale, which is important. He obviously is not going to hide the fact that he wants people to purchase from him. And, part of writing good sales copy and creating good advertising is being 100% transparent and truthful. So he does that, and he prices it out on the spot. And he said there's always a sale running. Now, this is a typical sales technique. There's always some special running, whether it's $100 off windows or $100 off each window, or a percentage off for the whole thing, or whatever. There's always a different sale running to make it attractive for people to buy now rather than wait. And I'm going to use this in the sales copy by basically saying, this might be a little counterintuitive, but I'm actually going to say there's always a sale running. Now, it seems like, well, if you say that, aren't people going to be less inclined to reach out now because they're not going to think to themselves, well, this sale might end? Well, I'm going to be perfectly straightforward and say that we always have a sale running, but we're not going to tell you what it is. You have to get in touch with us to learn what the current sale consists of. And so it's good to say this sale will end at a certain time, so reach out now if you're specific about what the actual sale is, because if people want that actual offer, but it runs out at a certain time, then letting people know that can light a fire under their butt and get them to actually fill out the form and request a quote or request a meeting or whatever. But if there's always a different sale running, then you can say there's always a different sale running. So contact us for our current sale offers, and we'll talk to you about them. And that's a completely straightforward thing. And I'm going to just be 100% forthright with it in his advertising, because people will love that. People will think that's so refreshing that this company is not doing like do it now, this offer ends in the next 20 minutes. Like, no, it doesn't. Everyone knows it doesn't, and there's going to be another one right on the tail end of that the company starts advertising with. So why not just be completely honest and say there's always a sale running? Contact us to see what that sale consists of. So that's what we're going to do. And then he mentioned the whole thing takes under an hour, which I mentioned earlier in this video. So, and this is obviously a cool thing. It's nice to know that if you contact this company, they're not going to be in your house for 4 hours. It takes under an hour. You'll know exactly what it's going to cost to get a house full of windows, and you're going to know all about those windows and everything. And there's always a sale running. It's really cool. So he also mentioned, I said to him, what are some of the things about these windows that people don't know much about? And this is a really cool thing to touch on as well. So he said he does a glass demo. He actually, when it can get really cold where my client is. And he said when it's 0 degrees outside, inside the window is 60 degrees. It feels like it's 60 degrees. And people are, used to having windows that feel really cold on the inside when the outside is really cold. But these, you don't feel that. And that's an amazing thing to homeowners. They really, they're just blown away by that. Now, obviously, this is not the only company that can achieve those results. And it might be a very common thing. But we're going to touch on why it doesn't matter a little bit later in this video, because I'm going to touch on this first. He said the windows reflect the heat from the summer on the outside. I'm sorry. So yeah, right. So it reflects the heat from the summer on the outside. So when the summer heat and the sun is hitting the window, it reflects that heat outward, away from the house, so away from the windows. And then on the inside, when it's cold outside, the windows reflect the furnace's heat in the winter, keeping the heat inside the home. And basically, he says that's called low E. So I looked up low E, and I just copied and pasted a link here just to remind me to read about why low E glass windows are energy efficient. Now, what he did say to me is that that's almost all windows now. Like, low E is not a proprietary thing that Provia offers. It's in almost all windows. Anyone can basically say that when they're selling windows. But here's the thing, and this is what I was going to mention as far as these, the glass demo here as well. It doesn't matter that a lot of windows or most windows have this low E technology. It doesn't matter that it's not necessarily unique to the windows he's selling, because he doesn't have to mention that it's in every single window or it's in most windows and it's not that unique a thing. He just has to teach people what it is in his advertising, and then people will conclude things on their own. So if they learn low E and what it does and how it works, they might conclude to themselves, well, I trust this company to get me windows because I like this low E technology. I like what it does. I don't know if other companies do it or not, but I don't need to because I know this company does. So it's kind of like I don't have to worry about accidentally hiring a company that doesn't offer windows with this technology. But at no point is my client going to say that we offer this while others don't. He's just going to teach people what it does. That implies that he offers it, and that his windows use that technology, and the rest is connected within the mind of the homeowner without him having to force anything down their throats, and that's much more effective. He also mentioned that window frames are usually hollow, but his are insulated with the same stuff in your freezer. Now, that's a really cool selling point. I mean, you think to yourself, freezers keep cold in and keep the warm air from going in to the freezer. So that's awesome. Like, what a cool selling point. That's such a no-brainer in terms of putting that in the sales copy. So I've got a lot to work with here, a lot of pieces of marketing gold that I'm going to be able to write into really awesome sales copy for this client for his window advertising campaigns. So I hope this video was really helpful. If you ever want help with your campaigns for windows, roofing, siding, doors, patio doors, whatever, fence contracting, power washing, masonry and concrete, I do all of that stuff. I help clients in all of those different niches. niches, whatever you want to call it. And I hope at the very least that this video was helpful in kind of pulling back the curtain so you can understand what good marketing looks like from the standpoint of how we think about things. It's not just about writing a one sentence and throwing it up on Facebook and putting money behind it. There's actually, there's a lot of thought that goes into how advertising is written and how good sales copy is written, because ultimately that's what sells the homeowner on wanting to reach out to you for a quote and because they trust you. So that's that. There's a decent chance that I'm going to offer a download of the actual sales copy I come up with for my client so that you can use it yourself and adjust it for your own business. I might be doing that for a price. I might be selling that. I'm not really sure yet, but I'm including that in this video just in case. So look below for a link that allows you to purchase the sales copy that I write, and also links to get in touch with me if you want me to actually just do this for your company and set up the whole entire sales funnel. And if you haven't, I would recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel if that's where you're watching this. And so you can be aware of, you can keep up with all of the content I put out, because it's, I try to make as much helpful content as I possibly can. So subscribe, like, and comment below if you have any questions. All right, guys, see you later.